Migrant caravan arriving at the U.S. border and tensions rising as they try to gain access to our country, whether through asylum or just by crossing illegally. With thousands of troops deployed, agents in Arizona detaining more than 650 illegal immigrants trying to cross in just 2 days alone this week. One migrant, a Honduran named Henry Salinas, told reporters he plans to overwhelm border agents, going on to say, quote, "It's going to be all against one, one against all of Central America against one, and one against Central America. All against Trump, and Trump against all." Joining me now, conservative columnist Ann Coulter. She's the author of Resistance is Futile. All right, Ann, you know, we heard all the last couple weeks that this was an invasion, and I think even Jim Acosta said that, you know, Mr. President, they're not going to be climbing any walls. That's not going to happen. Yet, we see all this video. They're climbing the walls. What's going on now?
Yes, oddly, the same thing they've been doing for the past, 50 years. This is why one presidential candidate ran a couple of years ago promising to build a wall. That's why people voted for him. We see that we need a wall. In the absence of a wall, I wish we at least had Attorney General Jeff Sessions.
I mean, but look at this wall. You can't even see this wall, I'm not sure. I mean, these are people that are just straddling the wall and then taunting and yelling things at Border Patrol on the other side. If any Democrat looks at that picture and sees them just like, you know, it's like a jungle gym out there. You just get on, you climb up, you climb down. It's like fun for these people. I don't get it.
Right. Well, Israel has a wall that reduced. They're having a big problem with invaders, they call them, I believe. No, infiltrators. Anyway, coming in from Africa, and they, according to the New York Times, got it down to 0 illegal immigrants crossing into their country. The wall goes very deep down. You don't have to worry about tunnels. Apparently, the old "show me a wall, I'll show you a ladder." The Israelis didn't believe that, so they built a wall, and it's actually working.
Isn't it funny?
Maybe we could get them to build our wall.
Yeah, every time you hear the Democrats, it's always, walls don't work. Walls don't work. And then you see walls all over the rest of the world working to stop people that they don't want coming in here.
It's the craziest thing. It's like the left perseverating something like, wheels don't work. Buckets don't work. They've worked for thousands of years.
Yeah, yet they're the ones driving the cars all over the place. So what's going to happen? You have actually now troops at the border. You have Mattis, who is at the border, who says we don't do stunts. They continue to come up. Some of the people that have reached Tijuana got there first. I guess they're just a little bit more athletic. But the caravan is coming. More caravans are coming. What do you see happening when the clash occurs and you have the actual 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 strong caravan actually getting to the border? What do you see happening then?
There will be 10,000 ACLU lawyers there to hand them their forms of what they're supposed to say to request asylum, assigning them an attorney, showing them how to collect government benefits. No, I mean, this is great, and I wish you would cover this every week, Jesse, because this has been going on for 50 years. This is why voters wanted a wall. That's the only thing that will ultimately work. We do have another omnibus bill coming up, and Trump has threatened to veto it if he doesn't get funding for his wall, which, again, he doesn't need, but there's no one in the White House. Who hired all those people in the White House? No one in the White House to tell him, you don't need Congress to build your wall. You're the commander-in-chief. Just build it. We could really use some changes at Homeland Security. We could use some changes, well, somebody more Sessions-like as Attorney General, but this is the biggest issue facing the country. This is literally an existential issue. We always hear about this, about, you know, an existential crisis for Syria, Afghanistan, Israel. No, this is our country.
Wait, no,
Can we please protect our country?
They say global warming is an existential crisis. I mean, that's a long way out there. I don't even know if people can feel that yet. All right, let's move on. Kamala Harris, you know, the young senator out there in California, she actually compared ICE agents to the KKK. Listen to this exchange on Capitol Hill.
Are you aware of the perception of many about how the power and the discretion at ICE is being used to enforce the laws? And do you see any parallels?
I do not see any parallels between
I'm talking about perception.
officers and agents.
I'm talking about perception.
I do not see a parallel between what is constitutionally mandated as it relates to enforcing the law.
Are you aware that there's a perception?
I see no perception.
Are you aware that there's a perception?
That puts ICE in the same category as the KKK. Is that what you're asking me?
No, I'm very specific about what I'm asking you. Are you aware that there's a perception that ICE is administering its power in a way that is causing fear and intimidation, particularly among immigrants, and specifically among immigrants coming from Mexico and Central America? Are you aware of that perception?
I do not see a parallel between the power and the authority that ICE has to do its job and the agents and officers who do it professionally and excellently with lots of compassion.
All right, that was Ronald Vitelio, President Trump's nominee to head ICE. Totally irresponsible for the senator to say, it's just like saying, well, you know, Democrats are crazy. Well, no, they're not. Well, no, there's a perception that Democrats are crazy. Come on, what is she doing?
No, I know. Yes, there's a perception created by you, Kamala,
right,
and your fellow Democrats.
Exactly.
It's outrageous. It's unbelievable. It's disgusting. I ought to be outraged, but I can't help it. It makes me laugh. This is the left in the Trump era. They've lost their minds. This is why they can't effectively oppose Trump, and resistance is futile. Everything has to be Nazi, white supremacist, white nationalist, KKK. All they do, I mean, what does that even mean? There are no Nazis. No, Trump is not Hitler, though yes, killing 6 million Jews and tweeting a lot. Very similar, I'm sure, in the eyes of a liberal. Peter Brimelow runs an immigration website which is basically Trump's position on immigration, except without the grammatical errors. And the New York Times just starts casually referring to an immigration website. It's just about immigration as white nationalist. Peter Brimelow, well, he doesn't call himself a white nationalist. It's just, this is the left calling our side a poopy head. They just want to call us names.
Well, I don't know who Peter is, but I do know that the Ku Klux Klan terrorized the South for many, many years and was responsible for hanging African-American people all over the place and burning crosses and intimidating people, and they were eventually eradicated. I just don't see the parallel, right, by Republicans. I don't see the parallel between ICE agents going after drug traffickers, going after human traffickers, going after criminal aliens that have broken our laws and trying to get them deported out of this country. There is no parallel at all.
Well, also to prevent them from undermining the wages of African Americans. I mean, those are the people in America who are being the one demographic group that's, and I suppose some also Hispanic Americans, who are being hurt the most. And they have the audacity to bring up the Klan. Also, I know a lot of people on our side get sick of Democrats are the real racists. But look, it is an historical fact that the Klan was an outgrowth of the Democratic Party. They often had overlapping membership, and originally the Klan was formed to terrorize Republicans who were going down to the South to make sure black people were voting.
Yeah, everybody needs to learn more history in this country. Trust me, I've been out in the streets. It's a disaster. Let's go to AVENATTI. So, you know, I don't even want to laugh about this because if it's true and he did punch a woman in the face, it's probably the most despicable thing you can do. And, you know, presumed innocent in this country, we're going to give him due process. The due process he did not give Judge Kavanaugh. But it is kind of ironic that he's now saying, don't believe women. I was set up. This is the exact opposite of what he was saying in August and September.
True, but I would not put him in the same camp with Kavanaugh. I mean,
women absolutely were coming not. It's just the theoretically
memories, no evidence. No, and you're right. I ran into a TMZ cameraman yesterday on the street, and he asked me why hasn't Trump tweeted anything about Michael Avenatti, and I said, well, because a girl got beaten up. I mean, it's not something you can really, unless you're me, you can't really. But yeah, probably a lot of conservatives did have a slight smile curl their lips on this.
But he's toast now, right?
I will give
Isn't he toast?
I do want to,
in terms of politics. CNN's not going to book him. MSNBC's not going to book him. The Democratic Party in Vermont, they canceled his appearance. I mean,
I do want to say this is going to leave a huge hole in the MSNBC schedule because for months you could not turn on TV without seeing. But I also do want to give credit to TMZ, which has apparently paid off every doorman in the greater Los Angeles area. I mean, their reporting is pretty specific that with him running into the building afterwards and saying, "She hit me first." That's a new one.
I mean, yeah, that's not going to hold up in the courtroom. Not at all. I mean, TMZ, they're wired all over that city. They got everybody on lockdown. They're just, it's an amazing organization, and I can't believe they beat everybody to the punch. Sneaky Snipes, Broward County. So Sneaky Snipes is overseeing this thing, and, you know, they had all this recount and all that. Well, she purposely missed the deadline because when they finished the count, Scott, the Republican, was up. So she added a few votes at the end, and then that delegitimizes the recount, so they have to go with the original count. So now the Democrat added a few votes. Total chaos, but she thinks she's doing a great job, Ann.
Well, I happened to be on site here in Florida for some real reporting. I was talking to a couple of people who spent a few hours there looking at the ballots. And one thing you should always know, I mean, for one thing, all of the reporting on the biggest story of the year has to be done by just random Republicans who are willing to donate their time. I love these news organizations sitting back and saying, well, they say there's cheating, but they have no evidence.
Yeah, no evidence.
Has no evidence. Hey, I have an idea. Do you guys have any reporters you could send?
I wonder.
No,
that could be a good idea.
They just call up Southern Poverty Law Center and say, oh, no, an expert told us there's never any cheating. There's never vote fraud. Don't worry. You can take it from the Southern Poverty Law Center. What they're doing, as is often the case in these, is the same thing over and over again. The overvotes and undervotes. This is where a person, I mean, you can cancel out your own ballot. You vote for one guy, decide, I don't really care. You vote for two. Okay. You didn't vote for anyone because you voted for both.
You know what, I think I just saw a picture the other day. I saw a picture of a ballot in Broward County, and someone checks the box for Nelson. I even think we might even have it. And then they check the box for Scott. Look, there it is on the screen. Okay, so first of all, I have to say, I know you're a Florida resident sometimes during the year, but Ann, you people down there, I mean, it's not that hard. What are you guys doing? It's like filling out a bubble.
And by the way, keep this in mind whenever you hear sneering elitist liberals talking about what idiots Republicans are. I notice these are all in Democratic precincts. At least our voters know how to fill out a ballot.
That's true.
The undervotes are where they examine a ballot where the voter didn't vote for a candidate at all, which is very common. The Nelson Scott election. Why? Because I would guess Andrew Gillum was running. He's like Florida's Obama. Probably a lot of African Americans went in, voted for the black candidate, and left. It's not that surprising, but for whatever reason, Gillum got more votes than Nelson did. Gillum running for governor, right. The two Democrats, Nelson for Senate. But what they did, and I think they're trying to do now, the Republicans better stop them. What they did in the Minnesota election that elected cheater Al Franken was that they would say, look, this ballot, they voted for Obama. Well, surely they meant to vote for Franken.
Exactly.
We're going to count that as a vote for Franken.
Exactly.
No!
You know what they're doing? Yeah, they think they know the intention. The will of the voter. They can somehow, through you know, ESP divine whatever the intention was. All right, Ann, I got to run. It was great talking to you, and hopefully we'll see you around in the coming weeks.
See you soon.